Hey, folks, welcome once again back for another edition of Boxing Chit. I am here, Joshua. I am your host, along with Boz, holding it down across the Atlantic Ocean. So it's a
Yeah,
pretty vast distance, but we are still connected. How's it going, Boz?
yeah. I've got some suffering from pollen allergy at the moment, but it's not so bad. Yesterday I was out on the balcony, and then suddenly I get all this itching in my eyes, and and then later in the throat as I went in, I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
there's pollen in the air. There's not because it's not so. It's not in full bloom. The trees are not yet in bloom, actually. But
Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
it,
air.
yeah, it rears its head for sure. We've been having some pretty solid weather here. It's been good weather, but yeah, the pollen has been high. Definitely, it's
Yeah,
went down a little bit because we got some rain. But that being
terrible,
said, I feel where you're coming from without a doubt. I certainly feel you.
terrible. Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, yeah, we're happy to be here. Salute, Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, "What's up, y'all?
hey,
Rodolfo in the building. We appreciate you dropping in, buddy. Good to hear from you, Rodolfo. I know we've been
oh
chatting
man,
about some of the action going on, so appreciate you dropping in. I know you're going to be happy to discuss what was the big event of yesterday and the event of the year, I guess you can say. And it went down in Jalisco, Mexico, Guadalajara area. So it's
yeah,
Canelo Alvarez who put his undisputed 168-pound titles on the line against Zach Ryder of the UK. He's a
not
British
Zach, but
fighter, tough and game, had a win
John
over
Ryder was.
Daniel Jones amongst others.
Yeah,
But this was Canelo's homecoming for as far as fighting in his home, fighting in Mexico for the first time since 2011. And he put on an event. As mentioned, there were 55,000 plus fans in attendance. They sold out the stadium that they were in
mm,
there. And that goes to show you that, hey, Canelo has some type of buying power that you just don't find too often with some of these boxers, especially when you think about that top elite level. And he is the man without a doubt. And it turned out to be a fight where Canelo did his best to try and get Ryder out of there, but he wasn't able to do so. But he did dominate, as far as I'm concerned. And he went on to win a unanimous decision. One judge had it 120, 108. Two other judges had it 118, 108, 109, or 107, whatever it is, or 17. What is it? 118, 109, I believe is what it is. Um, but that being said, it was just a good performance all around for Canelo. And I
yeah,
scored the fight via Fight Night Score. Shout out Fight Night Scores. And I know on my card, I didn't give Zach Ryder a round. That being said, I recall there being two rounds that were seemingly close that you could have gone the other way with, and you could have potentially given those rounds to
mm,
Ryder. But outside of that, it was pretty much a dominant win for Canelo. He had Ryder busted up. He was bleeding from the nose. His nose might have been broken, actually. Ryder got
yes,
dropped in either the fourth or fifth round for a straight right, and I didn't think he would make it through that round or the next, but he withstood the test of time, and as I mentioned, went to a decision. But I think just the overall atmosphere and everything just proved to be a very, very well orchestrated, attention grabbing, and just masterfully promoted event, and you could just
mm,
tell from the fanfare that was in attendance.
yeah. Yeah, I really did Ryder. Well, I must just correct you. His name is John Ryder, not Zach.
But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. Sorry, yeah, I'm saying Zach. Why am I saying Zach Ryder? Is that a wrestler or something?
or maybe you were thinking of the Australian guy,
Oh yeah,
Zach.
yeah, yeah, Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, John
Yeah,
Ryder. So
John
remember
Ryder
that, folks. John Ryder. Don't listen to
from
everything I say,
Liverpool.
but that's because it's not correct all the time.
Yeah, I believe he's also from Liverpool. Well, doesn't matter really. Yeah, I read that he said he couldn't really breathe so well from the broken nose after. Yeah, his
Yeah.
nose was broken and the blood flowing. I guess maybe also.
Okay.
Yeah, Zack Ryder. Yeah, Rodolfo says a WWE guy.
I don't
You
know why.
watch too much, maybe WWE.
Zack Ryder. That is funny. Big ups, Rodolfo. Helping me stay on game. That's good to know. Rodolfo
Yeah.
Rivera
So
Jr. says that interest was awesome. Yeah, that's for sure the event of the year, without a doubt. And real quick here, Mr. Pads, appreciate having you in the building, Mr. Pads. He says, big up, Boz, Josh, Rodolfo. Hope y'all are well today. We are. Appreciate you dropping in. Appreciate you dropping in
thanks,
for
man.
sure. Love to have the dialogue, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, big event, as
Hello
you
to
mentioned, big event.
Sweden. Yeah. Hello to Sweden, by the way. Mr. Paz is from Sweden.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, salute to Sweden. Shout
John
out.
Ryder, yeah. I mean, I couldn't expect it going any other way by decision for Canelo because Ryder is a tough cookie, and but he just isn't good enough to beat Canelo, of course, and especially not in Mexico, to get a decision there. Pretty hard
Mhm.
against Canelo, but yeah, he did once again prove himself as a tough guy, and
Yeah,
he was worthy to get that shot because he did beat Danny Jacobs and some other good fighters as well. But yeah, Danny was kind of on the slide there and didn't look that good in the sorry after the first 4 or 5 rounds, I believe.
yeah,
So yeah, but Ryder is a guy who wins by imposing himself on you physically,
yeah, yeah,
usually.
yeah, yeah,
While with Canelo, he couldn't do that because Canelo is simply too good,
right.
too clever, everything. So yeah,
No, I
that's
agree
how.
with you there. I agree with you there. Yeah, and sticking with the writer topic, yeah, you make a great point in terms of stylistically, he seemed to be a guy who would be able to, at least to a certain degree, push Canelo back at times. He wasn't able to do so really though. And one of the things I did notice, and I guess I hadn't really noticed it previously, but he is very solidly built. Zach John Ryder, that is. He looks
Mm,
like a strong guy. He looks just very solid. And I was surprised that he didn't force his way in more in the fighting itself. He spent the majority of the time backing up, which was probably a hindrance for him and probably
mm,
not the game plan that you would want to do against Canelo because there weren't really many points where Ryder was coming forward. And I don't know if that was just because he was, well, I think a part of it, of course, is because, yeah, you got something coming back, you're being hit. And Canelo,
yeah.
he's not a puncher per se, but he just has some powerful thudding punches. You can just tell the
Oh
way he
yeah.
throws them.
Hmm.
So that made Ryder, of course, reluctant to just kind of charge forward. So he had some moments where he would come in and do his thing, but physically, he's a solidly built dude. So he was bigger
Mm,
than Canelo. Just if you look at him
yeah.
overall mass wise. But that being said, he wasn't able to use that to his advantage.
Mm. Yeah, that's the thing, He did look also kind of. Yeah, he's like 5'9" and an inch taller also than Canelo, and he did look bigger because he's a natural
Yeah.
super middleweight, has been for a long time, and Canelo, Canelo, of course, became, I believe, super middleweight in 2019 or something. I don't maybe.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, he can he couldn't, of course, expect anything other than to lose here because
Yeah. Right. Right.
yeah,
You were in hostile territory because
it was just too much to overcome, for him, and
yeah,
he's
and it
no
was
longer at his peak either. I think he's like 35 or 36, maybe I don't know,
mhm.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked good physically, but certainly, yeah, he wasn't able to do a ton with Canelo and took a lot of
Mm,
damage. And it was a tiny ring by standards, so it was meant for you to stand in there and exchange and trade. Just from the look of it, and I know that just from officiating, being in some of those smaller rings, yeah, there's certainly a difference. You don't have a lot of wiggle room when you're going
mm,
forward and backwards and doing your So you want to utilize lateral movement, and that's something that Ryder didn't seem to really have, or at least show, which
Yeah,
probably could have helped him out a bit more. And Canelo was never really hit with anything significant that hurt him. Ryder did land a few pretty solid shots, overall, but they were a bit few and far in between. And I think that he gave up like the
mm,
first 4 or 5 rounds, in my opinion, and then even the middle rounds. And he started to come on a little bit later after he had been beat up a bit, but he just wasn't able to do anything with Canelo. But this
right.
isn't the end for Ryder, I would presume. He showed that he's tough, he's game, he can withstand
Yeah,
even the best of him. So I'd like to see him in there with someone else. I was trying to think of varying names or opponents that he could potentially face. Caleb Plant came to mind. They're both coming off of losses now as a
oh
result
yeah,
of this.
right.
That might be a
Yeah,
pretty interesting one, just given Ryder's style and given what Caleb Plant can do. That would be interesting.
yeah. Why not? Why not? I think it would be a really perfectly good fight. I mean, Plant. I think I would favor Plant to win, but
Hmm.
I can definitely see Ryder giving him a tough fight. Yeah, I mean he's a guy that usually does give you a tough fight, but
Yeah,
unless you are someone like Canelo, So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, without a doubt. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says another thing I found cool is that they played the Jalisco state anthem, not just the Mexican anthem.
oh
That's good
wow,
stuff. And I saw your comment earlier about the ref too, Rodolfo. I did see that he had that thing. You said Charo outfit. So yeah, I did notice that. Pretty cool.
hmm,
Representing. That's the way to go because this was a big event without a doubt. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, and some people on Twitter were saying, "How come they got a Ukrainian flag in the ring when that's the Jalisco flag?" Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. I need to
alright,
check it out. I missed that piece of it. I guess I wasn't paying attention to the flags. I saw when they were in there, but I guess I wasn't paying attention. Then Rodolfo says, "Yeah, Ryder got a chin, unlike all the other British dudes Canelo fought." Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
without a doubt. Except for Caleb Smith, there he couldn't get Caleb Smith out of there.
hmm,
Rodolfo. That being said, he dominated Caleb Smith, so I would say this was similar to the Caleb Smith fight as far as Canelo imposing his will and not getting a ton in return. Though I would say that Ryder probably offered a little bit more than what Caleb Smith did. And I know we've discussed this on a number of occasions. I don't think that was the story of Caleb Smith. That I don't think that was the story of Caleb Smith as a fighter overall. I think if they gave it another go, it would be a bit differently or be a bit different. I would presume, just given the fact that Canelo or Caleb, he's fighting at 175 now, and he's a solid dude. I don't know if it was a moment or what, but I think that he's a better fighter than what we saw on that night, and but Canelo handled him, did his thing, so got to give
yeah,
all props to him. And with that in mind, so the big question is what's next for Canelo, Boz, and I'll tell you on the broadcast. Canelo, and I guess he's been saying this in the media over a while, but he wants to fight Dimitri Bivol. He wants to do a rematch. Now, he wants to do the rematch at 175 pounds.
all
Dimitri
right,
Bivol wants to do the rematch at 168 pounds with the undisputed title on the line. And that's where the disconnect is at the current moment. Canelo wants to do it at 175 so that he can say he beat him there because he feels he won't get credit if Bivol comes down to 168. Now, me
oh yeah,
personally, I want to see it at 175, and just because Bivol hasn't fought at 168, and that's 7 pounds, which doesn't seem like much, but that is a
hmm,
difference for someone who's been fighting at like heavyweight. Them going down to 168, and I know Bivol has said that, hey, I can make 168. He seems to indicate that it's no problem for him, but I just think it might be better suited at 175 because you are going to have
yeah,
naysayers and you are going to have uh, disputes if he were to go to 168 and then ultimately lose to Canelo.
yeah, definitely, yeah. I think that would make Canelo's victory if he won, smaller, simple as that. It was like when Andre Ward fought Chad Dawson at 168. That was he did even stop him, but I think that was not a good move by Chad because he hadn't fought at that weight for so long.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much why he he performed so poorly, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it should be 175 definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. So hopefully we get to see that. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says that in the Mexican TV they interviewed Canelo about if he knew who David Morrell was, and he said who? Like he actually didn't know who he was. Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, Morrell, what does he have like 8, 9 fights now? Excuse
Yeah,
me, been on
something
the
like that.
PBC stuff. He's been on Fox a few times. That being said, I just think in the
Yeah.
sport in itself, Morel's not a big name yet, and it is not because he doesn't have that look and feel to him that he can be a star. I think he
Mm,
has the makeup for that. It's just a matter of continuing to put him out there, get him in front of those audiences and all of that stuff. But he isn't a name for casual fans for sure. You have to kind of follow the sport and really follow in or around the middleweight division to like heavyweight division to really know of David Morrell Jr. Just because he does have a limited amount of fights, but he's shown that he's at that elite level in this limited amount of fights. And
oh
it's
yeah.
always tough in terms of you really have to have that platform. And I do know that he's been on Fox, like I said, and things of that nature. But I think more exposure would really show that hey, this guy he's legit. You get a lot of more people behind him if they get him more exposure and in the right kind of fight as well. Which I think that of
Mm,
course a Canelo or Benavidez could do so or could do
yeah.
that for him. That being said, I want to see Canelo versus Benavidez for that happens. I don't want to see Morrell versus Benavidez or Morrell versus Canelo before we get Canelo versus Benavidez.
Yeah, I mean, I read that Ben or Morel wanted to fight Benavidez. That's what
Hmm.
his goal is next, and yeah, I mean, I would like to see that fight definitely.
Yeah,
Because I don't know. Well, I think Morel should be ready for that fight by
he
now.
seems to be. Hey, he seems to have the
Yeah,
goods. I must say, he seems to have
yeah,
it.
he does. I mean, his last fight that was such a no fight,
Right,
and
right.
the guy wasn't exactly some bum. I mean, he did take that fight on rather short notice, but still, he was like 17-2 or something. One,
Yeah.
I don't.
In thinking about it, see, the thing is, uh, that was on the pay per view of Garcia and Tank. Now
Mm,
that
oh
did
yeah,
major numbers. So here's the issue. Yeah, it was a quick, and while it was it was flashy. It was a nice and flashy quick knockout. Just imagine if the Morel if he had fought that guy, I think he was like a Uzbek or Kazakhstani fighter in his previous fight where the guy had to go to the hospital. Unfortunately, I'm not speaking
oh
from just
yeah,
that
yeah.
standpoint, but I mean if this audience would have been able to witness Morel in a fight like that, I think that would have opened even more eyes and that would have won more fans because they would see that oh, this guy has almost everything in the arsenal, and he
Mm,
proved it here tonight against this other undefeated fighter who was regarded as someone who could make some waves. And Morel just essentially dissected him completely, complete destruction. And I think that would have been crazy for him, and I think that would have been a huge benefit for him had that happened on the undercard of the pay per view. But unfortunately, we got the kind of quick fight against the Brazilian guy who wasn't
yeah,
going to win anyway because he came in
no,
short notice, and he wasn't going to win even if it wasn't short notice. Was what I'm
yeah. I mean,
saying.
I think he was also kind of in a rather advanced stage, like
Hmm.
35 or something. And I'd never really fought somebody like in that class anyway, like Morel. I
Yeah,
mean, not that there are many guys like him, in that division
true.
or otherwise, but yeah, there are a few, anyway, a couple of, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to see more of him. So would you rather see Canelo versus Benavidez before seeing Morel versus Benavidez, or you don't
Well,
care?
yeah, I would rather see Canelo Benavidez probably first, but I mean, if Benavidez should suffer some serious damage, I don't know how that would affect his fight
Yeah,
against
right.
Morel. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
either way would be fine for me. But
yeah, yeah.
simple as that.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge. It's certainly a tough fight to gauge in terms of Benavidez versus Morel. Of course, I
Yeah,
think that the odds are going to be on the side of Benavidez, just given that he's more experienced as a pro and he has fought the bigger names as a pro as well to this point. Though Morel, of course, is that from that Cuban school of boxing, so he
yeah,
has an elite level skills. He's a better boxer from a fundamental technical standpoint than David Benavidez, and
yeah.
it's just a
He
matter of
is.
how he handles the pressure, you know.
I was really impressed by how he threw those punches when he knocked out Falcao. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the way he throws those punches, it seems so easy for him, so natural. The
Yeah,
most other guys, they look like they are really making an effort when they
yeah,
do
yeah,
that,
yeah.
but for him it seems so kind of easy.
Yeah, yeah, you're
Just
right, and that's how you really just see. He has that type of separation in terms of his skill set and stylistically his look. When
yeah,
you think of like, hey, this fighter looks different. He looks different. This is what we mean because David Morrell is one of those type of guys. That like you just see him in there. It looks different than your average fighter. It just looked like he belongs in there. Like this is second nature, pretty much in every facet of the game. So I'm with you there for sure.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
he just has so many strengths. He's a tall guy, also for a super middleweight, and big guy altogether. Has the power, has those tools. The how do you call them? Intangibles. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Does have that. It's good stuff.
yeah,
Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, I think Bivol is still dangerous at 168 though. Yeah, I think assuming
yeah. I
Bivol we
mean,
get to Bivol we're used to seeing, yeah, he's gonna be a threat at 168. He's
yeah,
in his 30s now and he hasn't fought at 168. So I just wonder how the cut would be for him. But like I said, maybe it's easy and he goes through it and it's no problem. And I just think if he loses, it's like a no-win situation for.
mm,
So if he loses at 168, then it's a no-win situation for Canelo.
yeah. It's
If
like
Canelo
it's
loses
not.
at 175, then it's
Yeah,
gonna be looked at different. Or if he were to lose at Canelo at 175, then that would have kind of a different look and view to it.
I honestly think I don't think Bibiol is a big light heavyweight, so it wouldn't really kind of affect him maybe to go if he had to drop a few pounds. But
Yeah,
you never know, of course. But
yeah,
yeah, I think it's good that Canelo wants to fight him at 175 and prove himself like for
yeah.
real.
I'm with it.
So
I'm with
yeah,
it. So hopefully, we'll see what shakes out. Either way, I'll take it either way. If it's at 168, 175, or if they go Benavidez, Canelo, Bevo, Better Biev, and the winner face each other, which I know is not going to happen.
yeah. I don't know why my damn screen keeps shutting down. This is weird. That didn't happen before.
Hopefully, no one's tapping in.
Yeah,
But no,
it's
good to
weird.
go. Good to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, good event last night. So the undercard featured Gabriel Gallows Valenzuela, and he took on Steve Spark of Australia, winning a 10-round split decision.
Mm,
Now I wasn't scoring the fight. That being
yeah.
said, the parts that I was kind of looking at and paying attention to, it looked to me that Steve Spark was winning, but I'd had to give it another look to really truly digest it. But it was a split decision. Steve Spark, he recently beat Montana Love after Montana Love was disqualified for trying to toss him out of the ring. But he was giving
Oh,
Montana Love some problems. Well, I guess Montana Love did actually toss him out of the ring, but it wasn't like a bad toss or whatever.
mm,
Excuse me, but
yeah.
he was giving Montana Love problems. And yesterday he was landing some big shots on Gallows, but I think I missed the knockdown where Steve Spark I guess got dropped. That being said, what I was trying to pay attention. I was doing something else as well. But from what I saw, just from an action standpoint, it seemed like Steve Spark was doing a bit more and landing a bit more heavier and cleaner. But I don't know. It ended up being a split decision loss. But I think it was one of those that potentially could have gone either way.
Right, I think I heard of Steve Sparks, but I haven't really. I don't know if I ever really watched him fight. But I think
Yeah,
I've come across his name anyway.
yeah. And Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says it might be a catch weight. This Bevo Canelo fight. Oh, let's not do a catch weight. Let's not throw that in the mix.
No, rather not.
But I know it happens all the time. If someone's trying to hack your computer bias.
Gee, I hope not. But now you made me a little anxious.
Are you good to go? Maybe
Yeah.
a setting. But yeah, that went down. We also got to see Julio Cesar Martinez, who made a return
Oh,
to the
yeah.
ring in a 12-round flyweight contest. Now he was taking on Ronald Batista, who is a Dominican fighter who's 15-2,
Oh,
or came in 15-2. Martinez, of course, is 19-2, and it was an interesting fight. It had a little bit of back and forth This was a lower tier level opponent for
yeah.
Martinez, and I know that I was tweeting with uh, Alex Vega. Shout out Zorro de la Vega. We were tweeting just in relation to his scoring and some other stuff. I saw his card, and he actually had Martinez winning or whatever, which was rightfully the case. I think he stopped him. Yeah, he did stop him in the 11th round. But the thing is, what I was trying to say is Martinez, yeah, he seems to have taken a step back a little bit. And I think maybe the reason behind that is when he chose to go up in weight and face Chocolatito and got thoroughly outclassed by Chocolatito. And now he seems to be trying to find his footing or find his place again. And he's an interesting fighter. He has a very interesting style. It's not predicated on throwing a lot of jabs. He's usually throwing looping shots, He's leading with hooks,
Mm.
left and right hooks. And he's an exciting fighter without a doubt. He's an exciting and vulnerable fighter because a very polished boxer will definitely beat him. And if it's someone strong enough, they'll likely knock him out. So he has options of facing someone like a Sonny Edwards or a Bam Rodriguez. I think both of these guys probably beat him. Definitely Bam Rodriguez, I think, would dissect him because of the fact that Martinez has an unconventional style and he leaves himself open and susceptible to punches. And not only that, if he's hurt, he doesn't tie up. He tries to fight back. So it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting for Martinez.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Zorro de la Vega is in the building. Salute Vega. Just mentioning you.
Salute. Yeah.
So Vega says everyone says Bam, but I actually want Sonny versus
Sunny.
Julio
Yeah.
Cesar Martinez. All right, yeah, that is one that's been thrown out there. I think that would be a good one as well. I'd likely favor Sonny Martinez. I think that I'd favor him over anyone that could box very well at
Yeah.
one of at the top level of the division, just because Martinez he is a bit unpolished, and
Yeah.
he can be hit. Which hey, he's game for it. He's the type of fighter who he's gonna be game in there regardless. I think he'll put up a fight. And I don't think the stage will be too big for him if he needed to go battle it out back and forth. But I certainly favored him. But I'm with you there, Vega. Sonny versus Martinez. That might be the one to make since that has been talked about a bit more. And that's one we've been kind of looking towards at some point. So hopefully we get that one.
Sunny. Yeah. Sunny is a very good boxer. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great
Rodolfo
movement and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He does. So yeah, Sonny, yeah, he's super solid. I know he's calling out. He always calls out seemingly everybody. So I'm sure I would think he would take the fight, no problem. And I think that he probably would be confident going in there with Martinez. Rodolfo Rivera Jr.
Yeah.
says, "Yeah, I ain't a fan of Martinez." Yeah, Rodolfo said, "Dude just fights weird and loves taking punches to the head for some reason." Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like in that Chocolatito fight, it was just such an outclassing that Martinez, he's going to shine with the right type of opponent. And, yeah, just certain guys, yeah, he's just not gonna look good against, and that was the case against Chocolatito, who, even though it might not be the best version of Chocolatito, still a formidable fighter, and he showed that in his contest with Martinez, who really didn't know what to do with Chocolatito. 2 seasons for him, for real.
Mm.
Uh, Vega says good matchup with Styles. Yeah, Sonny Edwards, Martinez. That is a good stylistic matchup, so it'll make things interesting. Then my mom says, "Son and Boz, happy Sunday. Save me some Starbucks 86." Gotcha, gotcha. Shout out Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Starbucks,
Nice.
hook us up with a sponsorship. We're showing you love, you know. But
Cool.
good stuff. But yeah, yeah, we'll see what's in store for that. And then also wanted to mention on the undercard. Now I didn't see this fight, but Alexander Gvozdyk Alexander
Oh
Gvozdyk,
yeah,
he made his return to the ring. Well, he had already made a return, but this is, I believe, the second fight of his return,
yeah.
and this was on a bigger stage, of course, being on this pay per view. But he apparently knocked out Bolotniks in the 6th round. Now I
Hmm.
didn't see the fight, but but Bolotniks, he was in there with Joshua Buatsi. He was
Yeah,
in a little bit of trouble in the early part of that fight. But that
yeah.
being,
He did.
yeah,
He lasted 11 rounds also against him,
Mhm.
and it looked like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, he
up
was game.
until yeah, up until the knockout, it looked like he would go the distance. Actually, as far as I remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I would say it's a decent win for Gvozdyk as far as just kind of trying to get himself back to that stage that he was at. Because I know we mentioned this last week. I mean, he left pretty much on the top of his game, even though he lost to
yeah,
Beterbiev. I mean, that's not like you losing to someone who isn't one of the top boxers in the world, So that's a loss.
yeah,
Hey, you just bounce back from it. But maybe this time
yeah.
off
And he
saved him
he
some wear and tear.
he had his moments, of course, against Better Beer. Also, he won a few rounds there, but in the end, it was just Better Beer is so strong.
Mm.
Uh, yeah,
Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, yeah, Bolotniks had a huge cut. Maybe that contributed to the stoppage right there.
yeah, probably because I was like 6 rounds, because he's a tough guy. I know that, but
Yeah, yeah, he is tough and game.
was
Yeah,
it?
I'm gonna have to check that one out because I did miss that.
Mm,
But that is
I
interesting.
mean, Gvozdyk is a boxer primarily, but he
Yeah,
has. I mean, he did knock out Stevenson, Adonis, and he does have the power.
yeah, the
I see.
nail. They call him the nail.
Yeah,
You know, he pinpoints
yeah.
stuff. But you're right, he did.
But his last name means carnation, so I call him Carnation Man.
Carnation Man, Carnation
Like
Man.
the Orchid Man. Yeah,
The Arctic Man, Carnation Man, reincarnated, 170, 175 pounds.
Robotniks.
Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says his name sounds like Dr. Robotnik, aka the villain of Sonic
Yeah,
the Hedgehog. Yeah, without a doubt. That is
yeah.
true.
I think
Yeah, I love Sonic the Hedgehog.
it's like Latvian Russian name, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, Bolotnik. Yeah, I think he's from Latvia,
Yeah, he
if I'm
is.
not mistaken.
But some guys from there have like Russian names, last names because they have you know Russian
Mm.
origin. Some of them, yeah. Not Briedis. Briedis, that's a real Latvian like name originally.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's
mm,
good stuff.
yeah,
Getting a history lesson on the origins as well. Appreciate
yeah.
that. You always give us game on the origins of some of these names. Some could be
You're
hard to
welcome.
pronounce for
Yeah,
fun, but yeah, that's dope though. But
yeah. That's something I've been like. That's a hobby of mine.
yeah,
Has
yeah.
been for a while.
But
Yeah. Mm.
boxing, it helps you definitely get connected with varying names. Seeing the
Yeah.
name Gvozdyk for the first time, you're probably like, well, what is this?
Yeah, and I thought it had something to do with iron actually, because in my language, I mean, both Ukrainian and my languages are Slavic, but in my language, there's a word similar sounding word for iron. It's like an old word, and but no, this is something completely different. Turns out, yeah,
Good stuff. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says Maurice Bradis is Latvian as well. That is true. You just made me look
Yeah.
him up to see what's going on with what was going on with Britas, because on July 2nd he will have been a year out of the ring since that
Mm.
fight to Opataya, and of course Opataya, I think he's still been out, but he did have his jaw broken, and Britas still looked good even though he lost that fight. I thought it was a pretty close fight, and it could have
Yeah, he's
gone
very good.
Britas's way, but Opataya pulled it off. But I did think it was a close fight, so that just triggered me just wondering what's going on with Maurice Britas, because he's probably
He's like,
39,
yeah,
40 now, right?
something like 39, 40. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, which means that yeah, activity helps us. Okay, so he's 38. He's
All
38
right.
actually, so he's right.
Maybe he'll be 39 later this year.
He might have a few good fights left in him if we can get that
Yeah.
World Boxing Super Series back with the cruiserweight division again. You
I
know,
mean,
he's legit.
he's very, yeah, very talented guy. I mean, yeah. As I said, the only one who I had actually beating Usyk, so far in that fight. I had it.
Okay.
It was a close one, but I thought he won a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. Britas, man, he's shown that he's the real deal. He's top level. I think that World Boxing Super Series for the cruiserweight division right now would be good because there's a lot of uncertainty at cruiserweight. We have some guys who we figure will be the top guys of the division. For how long, the question's still out there, and I think that tournament can answer a lot of them because when they have done the World Boxing Super Series tournament, they have been able to pretty much secure all of the top cruiserweights in the world to join, which is a
Mm,
plus. So if we could get that again, I think that adds shine to the division, and especially if we can widen the network availability, because that's one of the things with some of the U.S. not carrying some of these fights. Like, what the heck are you thinking? These are top level guys that are doing their thing. They don't quite get that same level of shine, but this would be awesome, and all the matchups are generally pretty solid. They're good matchups because you got varying styles in your fight. You got the top guys of the division who aren't getting those huge paydays like that, so they're willing to jump in
mm,
there and put it all on the line, tournament style.
yeah.
That's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, tournaments are a good way to make all the best guys in one division fight each other, Yeah.
Yeah, Zorro De La Vega says, "Where you from, Boz?"
Well, as my nickname says, I'm from Bosnia. Bosnia.
Yeah,
Herzegovina.
Bosnia. Got to visit
Yeah,
there
but
one day. Get some of
yeah,
the food. I know it'll be great.
all right. I don't
No,
live there, but I
yeah, yeah.
lived there until I was 14 years old. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Salute to Bosnia. They have some boxers
Thank
out there
you.
holding it down.
Yeah, it's like there was some trouble in the neighbor country. I mean, might
Oh yeah,
mention Serbia. You heard of maybe of that.
yeah. They seem to have trouble with a lot of countries for some reason.
Yeah, there was like school shooting, which never happened before, and stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
hope that kind of gets better soon.
yeah. When I visited Kosovo, yeah,
Yeah,
there were reminders of the Serbians who are having issues. They essentially have issues with Kosovo. They have issues with Albania. They
yeah,
seemingly have issues with a lot of countries. But it's one of those
yes,
crazy things.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. I mean, Serbia has had feuds with several of its neighbors. Bulgaria also,
Oh
not
yeah.
Greece. Only Greece and Romania. I don't think they ever had really conflicts, but also
Oh yeah.
Hungary and yeah, a few others, Albania, of course.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Crazy
Yeah,
stuff. Zorro De La Vega says, I appreciate when you tell us all the proper pronunciation and origins of the last names. Salute. Shout out to Boz for that,
yeah,
keeping us on game because it can certainly be a challenge at
my
times.
pleasure. Yeah,
It makes it a little bit better once you get a little bit familiarized with the region, I guess you can say, in the typical names. Then it kind of helps with some when you're thinking about pronouncing
yeah,
them. But occasionally, yeah, you'll get some that yeah, you just need that
yeah.
guidance.
Especially Eastern European names can be hard for you Westerns to pronounce. I get that. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
people say Usyk, but it's actually Usyk. That's the way you're supposed to say it.
Oh, yo, Usyk. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, "Remember when British was dressing up like Mario to get a Jake Paul fight?" That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, Jake Paul is not gonna. I don't think they would allow that actually.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong at this point. But British would
No, that's
destroy
too
you.
much. You don't pair against. I mean, a
But I
real
do remember
boxer
seeing him
against. Yeah.
in the dress though in the Mario dress wear.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that Jake Paul isn't a real boxer, but he isn't like a top notch boxer anyway. I think
Yeah,
this fight with Tommy Fury proved that.
yeah, right. You're talking about a completely different level that
Yeah,
Jake
he
Paul
can
will
punch, but
likely
that's
never get
so.
to.
Yeah, he can punch, but that's pretty much all he can do.
Yeah, and Breedis, it would be too much for him without a doubt.
Mm,
And he'd be bigger. You know what I'm saying? He'd be bigger for sure. And he's fought there
yeah,
for a minute. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, "Yeah, the Super Series is going to be almost impossible to happen in the middleweight or welterweight division. Bunch of drama there. Yep, I imagine that would certainly be the case. Yeah, I doubt they'd be able to get welterweight. The way I see it, you can get those divisions that are in or around the top level of boxing, which is heavyweight. So you might be able to get the cruiserweight, or you will be able to get the cruiserweight. You're not going to get the heavyweights. Likely not going to get the 175 pounders. And
yeah,
then you're going to get those that are in or around the lower divisions in boxing. So you might be able to get some of the flyweights, of course, minimum weights or something like that. But the thing about it, when you start tapping into some of those guys won't have that name. So
yeah,
they did a good one with
yeah.
cruiserweight,
Nobody
and
cares
so they were.
about this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 168 was in the first year, so it was 168 in cruiserweight. So yeah,
yeah.
168 is a good one, but I don't think you could get 168 now, of course, because of the fact that that's where Canelo was campaigning. The dynamic has changed. So
Hmm.
yeah, it would be one of those lower weights. I would think somewhere in or around flyweight, and they have enough names there that I think they could make it happen. Flyweight, superfly. You have guys who have built up some names. You have the Chocolatitos, uh, the Gallo, El Gallo, etc. You have some guys there who I think would be game for it, but it would be interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting. All right, and then Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says Oscar won't let his precious Munguia lose his O against Genovic. That would be a good fight. I know Munguia is fighting someone. Who is he fighting? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Derevianchenko. Did you see that?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Derevianchenko, which I think is a good fight 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, of
yeah.
course. I think it'll be still good in some action, but I just don't see Derevianchenko winning because his
Mm,
last probably like 4 or 5 fights have been some very tough fights, and he took a lot of damage
yeah.
in those fights, even in the ones he won. So I just don't see. I just see Munguia's size being a problem because I think this is at 168, and
Oh, yeah. That's what I was gonna ask.
like when
Yeah,
Derevianchenko was in there with the likes of even like Jamal Charlo, he just looked smaller. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
he's
yeah. He's
probably
like,
better suited for 160, maybe even
yeah.
154. Those are probably his most optimal weight. So I don't see him doing much at 168.
No, no. He's like 5'9", and yeah,
Yeah.
quite small for 168. Yeah,
But hopefully this means that if this happens, then it's only up from here as it relates to Munguia's opponents. That would be, of course, I
mm,
guess the silver lining right there if we can make that happen. Uh,
yeah.
Shout out to
Mangia.
Blake Gallimore. Appreciate you dropping in, Blake. Salute. Love the dialogue. So appreciate you dropping in. It says, "What would Grab do? What would Grab do? We need to get a strain of Harry Graf's DNA and bring that monster back again to clean up this generation of boxers. 1 to 2 fights a year, terrible. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, yeah, the legendary Harry Greb talking about a man who fought an insane pace, an insane schedule and resume, and took on a number of Hall of Famers, etc. We all know that Greb is one of the best to do it. But that pace of fights, yeah, that's just stuff we don't see these days. Now you have some guys who are what I would call perennial losers who have like a ton of fights. Like you'll occasionally see a guy who's like 26 and 95 or something crazy like that. They're basically just a traveling opponent. But as far as that elite level pace, yeah, we're lucky if we get a top level guy to fight 4 times in a year. That's like a major achievement. Like, oh my gosh, he's active.
Oh yeah,
Elite level fighter, to do that. We had
yeah, that,
Navarrete doing that. Canelo did it one year, I know not too long ago, or seemingly one year within, if you look at it from a calendar year standpoint, it was seemingly close to that. But yeah, we seldom see them fighting more than twice a year at this point. And if we get three, then
yeah,
it's like, okay, yeah, a little more than the average. But beyond that,
yeah.
yeah, rarity, except at
They've
least at
gotten
elite level.
they've gotten spoiled.
Mhm.
Simple as that. Fighters are just
Yeah,
they
yeah,
don't have to fight like before, all the time. So they don't. Simple as that, because they have other, so maybe also sources of income, or
yeah, that
they're,
is true. The
yeah,
dynamic has changed. You do have
yeah.
other revenue streams where you can bring
Mm,
things in, especially in this age of social media. So that desire for just that pace of fights, yeah, you don't see that there much these
mm,
days, except for when a young fighter is coming up and trying to really just fight at a pace that will allow for him to start to just build up his resume in the quantity of fights fairly quickly. So you see some of that, of course, but when you think about the
yeah.
top guys in the divisions, yeah, it's a rarity to see that. So Greb,
Mm,
salute to Harry Greb, the Pittsburgh windmill. You're talking about realistically in excess of 300 plus fights in terms of his career when you think about the stuff that wasn't reported. But he would definitely be an interesting mix. And stylistically, he was always listed as one of these awkward guys who threw a ton of punches. I kind of liken it to Emmanuel Navarrete, who is an awkward punching and awkward throwing guy. And of course, I'm just using this general. I'm not saying that Navarrete is Greb, but when you just think about what they speak of as far as Greb, and you try to fathom how can a guy who is throwing these awkward, seemingly not traditional style of punches, how can they get to that elite level? Hey, you got guys who've done it. Just look at it now. Look at Deontay Wilder. You wouldn't say that he's technically sound as a boxer by comparison to the top level boxers in the game, but he's been able to rack up a number of wins over the competition that he's faced without really having those fundamental skills. So I think you have to.
mm,
It's the history and the modern times. Sometimes comparing it can be apples to oranges, but just because of course, you haven't seen it doesn't mean this person wasn't able to be effective in doing what they did. And clearly, Grab was given the amount of people he defeated, top level Hall of Famers and such.
oh yeah, definitely.
Luke there. Thanks, Blake Gallimore. Zordel Vega. Actually, Bob, what is the proper pronunciation for Beterbiev or Beterbiev? What do you think?
Well, I think it's actually in Russia they would pronounce it probably like Beterbie or something like that. Yeah,
Mm,
Beter. So we don't do. I mean, where I come
yeah,
from,
yeah,
we
yeah.
say, actually we say Beterbie. That's how we say.
Beterbiev. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I've tried to, I've heard it, say it both ways. I remember I tried to kind of mix it up to,
Yeah.
I was at one point trying to do Beterbiev, uh,
Yeah. Beterbie.
Beterbiev, yeah, Beterbiev or Beterbiev, yeah, whichever one. But yeah, yeah, it's just one of those tricky things. I tend to fall back into the whatever one I commonly used over the years. So Beterbiev, I guess, is what I commonly say, but it could be
Mm.
Beterbiev.
Better be on time.
Beterbiev. Good
Better
stuff.
be there.
Good question there, Vega. Appreciate having you in. Rodolfo Rivera, Serbia always starting stuff. They started World War I, if I
Well,
remember correctly.
kind of. I mean that's. I mean they what that one guy did was just an excuse actually for. But that was brewing, for a while already. Those
Mm-hmm.
those tensions, between
Oh
the
yeah,
central. Yeah, I mean there were a lot of tensions
yeah. It can start
going on.
like that.
Mm.
Yeah, it can start. It can start. Yeah, it starts like that, and then things escalate for sure.
Yeah, and that
Uh,
happened in Sarajevo, actually, in Bosnia's capital. That assassination of the Austria-Hungarian prince. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Good stuff. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says one of my favorite boxing nicknames is the
yeah.
Croatian Comet, which is Fritzy Zivic's nickname. Oh,
I
Fritzy
didn't
Zivic.
know he had that actually. Yeah, his father, I think, was Croatian, and his mother was Slovenian, I believe, actually. So yeah, he was like half Croatian, half
Oh yeah,
Slovenian.
yeah, yeah. Good stuff. But yeah, old Fritzy Zivic, regardless, one of the dirtiest fighters of all time. Uh,
Yeah,
but
but he
well
also,
traveled.
yeah, he beat Henry Armstrong, I believe,
Oh
twice.
yeah,
Was it?
he
Yeah,
had he had a win over Charlie Burley for sure. He had a win over Charlie Burley, at least one,
yeah.
two. I can't remember. When I was looking into it, but I know that. But I
He
think it was
had
questionable.
he had quite a lot of losses, but also many wins. So it was.
Yeah, I was looking for this little book I had where someone on the YouTube channel recommended it. I forget, I don't have it here next to me, but where they interview a number of boxers from the early years, some of them at least from the early years back in the 30s, 40s, and beyond, 20s, some of them in the 20s actually, like
Mm,
Gumboat Smith or
oh
pre
yeah.
20s too, like Gumboat Smith. Fritzy Zivic was one of them I know who was interviewed in there. I haven't read it yet, but I did purchase it. A user recommended it, and he's no longer on the channel. We got into an argument in the post with someone and left unsubscribed. But shout out
Oh,
Steve. I think that's his name, Steve. We had some good conversations. Steve, you're gonna go and leave me like that? Like,
yeah, yeah, that happens. No, yeah, sometimes you just can't avoid it.
Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, I think a super middleweight super series is possible. Hey,
Mm.
it depends on what Canelo wants to do. He'll be the driver of whether that's possible, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'd rather see because we already had super midweights. Maybe light heavyweight would be better
Yeah,
for
light
him.
heavyweight would be good,
Yeah.
especially. But then again,
Mm.
yeah. Well, if Dmitry Bivol and Arthur Beterbiev are in it, that would make it better, of course, because all roads lead to them at light heavyweight, and ideally, I would think that the two of them would come out on top and would have to face each other. So that's the only way that
Mm.
will be good and formidable.
Yeah.
So hopefully it can happen. I'd love to see it without a doubt, but
Mm.
that might be possible. 154 would be a good one as well. But then
Oh
again,
yeah.
Charlo
Yeah.
has all of the belts, so
Yeah.
Canelo Charlo that is. So really, yeah, there's no direct incentive for him to join it right now when
No.
he already
Probably
has all
not.
the, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, we'll see.
it's interesting. It's interesting. Maybe 140. Now that would be an awesome one. They did
Yeah, I was
140
just
before.
thinking about 40. Yeah.
They did that one before, but 140 would be awesome. Especially we might pick up some guys who are at 135 and looking to move up.
Mm.
Someone at 147 moves down. Depends. Those tend to make fighters do different things. So we'll see what happens. But it would be cool. Uh, Rodolfo Rivera says, but who knows? I don't even know if is the super series if they're still in business. Yeah, that's a big question. I don't know. I know Richard Schaefer was involved, but at this point, yeah, probably not. I mean, yeah, yeah. I don't know the dynamics, the financials tied to it. They're very much good, very good tournaments. Of course, now you had to think about who the names are. Some of the bigger names. That is always a question. And they were able to secure some of the bigger names, like I said, in certain divisions and all. But I know that has to be a factor. And then who's backing? But I think if they could get an American network to back it as well, then that would be a plus for it. Uh, it would certainly be a plus that probably could help incentivize it happening. But who knows?
Mm.
Might have to dig into that a bit further to kind of see what's going on. Reach out to Richard Schaefer. Hey, what's up? What's going on here? Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says the pandemic ended their momentum. The last tournament was the bantamweights when Inoue first Oh, excuse me. Yeah, yeah. In a way, he ended up winning it. He beat Donito Donaire in a sensational
Yeah,
final fight.
I think
Uh,
he meant to write when he fought Donaire.
yeah, 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 yeah. Right. Yeah. So yeah, he fought a sensational contest. There was a fight of the year candidate. Might have won fight of the year on many people's books. But it was
Yeah,
good. Coming into that tournament, I thought that the final two would be Inoue versus Ryan Barnett. Then Barnett had some kind of freak injury, and you know what? I don't know if I've seen him since. I don't know if he's back boxing or what.
yeah. I think didn't he lose to that guy from Northern Ireland? What was his name?
I mean, I'm looking in there.
The guy who also kind of had a loss to because of an injury to Donaire. What was his name? I forgot now.
Ryan Burnett. I said Barnett,
Yeah.
Burnett. But so yeah, Burnett he fought. So yeah, he only lost to Donito, and he had to retire after the fourth round, or at least
Yes.
stop at the fourth
Ryan
round.
Burnett.
And he came back in 2019 and fought one fight against a Filipino fighter, and he hasn't fought since. Oh, it looks like on October 25th, 2019, Burnett retired from boxing, citing
Mm,
persistent injuries. Oh, okay.
poor
So
guy.
injuries. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
when he was fighting Donaire, a fight that I thought that he would win. I thought he would beat
Yeah.
Donaire, but
He
something it
was
looked like
doing
something to
well.
do with his back or something.
Mm. He was doing well. I remember that fight, but then suddenly he got that injury.
Yeah, I think he went down without even taking a punch. He threw a
Yeah.
punch and it tweaked something. So I guess he's done.
Yeah. Exactly. What a unlucky way to
Yeah,
go.
unlucky. I mean, get on that big stage tournament, and I was sure that he was going to make it to the finals there, and it would be him in a way. But hey,
Mm.
you can't predict these injuries.
Yeah, I like Northern Irish fighters. They like to come forward and yeah, slug it out and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Rodolfo
Mm,
Rivera Jr. says, "I feel like the Super Series should primarily happen to divisions that the belts are scattered about and need unification." I'm in agreement with you there, Rodolfo. That seems to
mm,
be how they've managed to get some of the bigger names in there by definitely having those guys that had belts and the belts are in multiple places, not unified, things of that nature. So you would also get an opportunity to unify. And we saw that happen with cruiserweight, of course, and that's what led to Usyk becoming undisputed at cruiserweight, which was a big plus. And yeah, those are the ways to go about it right there. If you have the different belt holders, you can get those unifications. Uh,
mm.
Undisputed has been a word, a big buzzword thrown out there. It seems like we do
Undisputed.
have more who want to pursue it, so hopefully we do continue to see more of these undisputed unification fights, because I think that's good for the sport of boxing,
Mm,
and that takes it to the time where the best you only had one belt. Hey, so that meant that hey, to beat a man, you got to beat the man. So you had to work your way there.
yes.
So undisputed kind of duplicates that in some sense, but it definitely can be hard with these sanctioning bodies seemingly,
Mm,
making up when okay they're going to enforce okay this mandatory fight. They seem to enforce them at varying times with no real scientific logic behind them, but maybe I
mm.
don't know enough. They seem to come out of nowhere sometimes.
Yeah, we better not forget to talk about the other fight, which was,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Back to
in
that.
UK.
Oh yeah.
I was
So yeah, get into the stuff that actually happened. Joshua Buatsi took on Stepien. First name
Pavel,
is
yeah. Pavel.
Paweł. Yeah, Paweł
Mm,
Stepien, who's a Polish fighter. And Buatsi, of course, we know he has a lot of buzz, or at least had a lot of buzz behind him. Still some, like you say, he was with Matchroom, no longer with Matchroom. He's now operating under the Boxer banner. That's BOXXER, I believe. And
yeah.
I was wondering because I was surprised, and I know Alex Vega had mentioned this on the Fight Night stream that we did last week. Shout out to Fight Night Score. Check it out, people. Fight-score.com. But basically, I guess there was some promotional situation with Matchroom, and Boatsi said he wanted to be more on regular television. And I'm assuming Sky Sports, those type of things, BT
Oh,
Sports,
yeah,
and all of
right.
that, and not just the zone. But I thought it was interesting. So This was a boxer promoted card here where Joshua Buatsi took on Stepien, and Stepien was supposed to take on Caleb Smith, who had to
Oh yeah,
withdraw due to injury. And that fight
that's
fell through
just
like a month. I think it was supposed to happen last month or something like that.
yeah something maybe
Yeah.
at the end of March or something. I
So
don't
that's
know.
how this came about. Now, I haven't seen this fight. I have seen the result. But Boz, considering you have seen this fight, what were your thoughts on it? I believe it was the unanimous decision or split decision.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I did have
Unanimous, I think.
Watsy winning clearly, but still, he did take some punches. I mean, quite a lot of punches, but it just seems that Stepien is not a really hard hitter. So but he still managed to kind of rattle him a few times, and he's a good counter puncher. But it's like after round six, maybe he started to gas. I thought Stepien faded simply in the last 3 or 4 rounds. So Watsy took over there, and yeah, there was quite a lot of exchanges. Even though, yeah, it was kind of a little bit dull, but I would compare it to a Bruno versus Team Witherspoon fight.
Okay. No,
Yeah, there were quite a lot of exchanges, but still, it wasn't very fun. Very exciting.
well, that's
So
funny because I looked up. I was trying to get to his profile, so I searched his name, and the first story that popped up was that he was fighting in front of a half empty arena, and people were leaving out in the middle of the fight because it was a
really,
war fest or whatever.
yeah, so
Dang.
Boatsy doesn't really impress me or anybody. I think his defense is an issue, and that was also evident against Bolotniks and
Hmm.
against Craig Richards. Oh man, this damn screen! What's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, Craig. So he's and I think although he's a puncher, he doesn't. He did hit this guy Stepien a few times clean with clean shots, but didn't really seem to hurt him. So
Mm,
that also may be an indication that Boatsy is a little overrated even as a puncher. but
yeah.
yeah, but who knows?
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
is interesting. I will say that
yeah,
is interesting. And that might be a blow to momentum, which he had momentum at one point, seemingly a high
yes,
level of momentum where, okay, it's like maybe, yeah, this guy's going to be a serious player, a serious threat here at 175. And
no,
that has waned a bit. I was wondering with the move from Matchroom if this also meant a move from the management type relationship he has with Anthony Joshua as well. That I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but that is a question I did have. But certainly interesting move. Not that boxer they are a player in boxing, no pun intended. They are a player, but certainly Matchroom is the bigger commodity for sure. And he left Matchroom, who seemingly was putting him on the forefront. I would say he had some events where he headlined, and of course this was a headline with Boxer as well. But it just seemed that yeah, it seems interesting. I don't know. We'll see what he can do as far as Boxer, what they're able to do for him, and what fights they're able to
mm,
get. But when you think
yeah, I
about
think,
175, you think about Caleb Smith, you think about Caleb Smith, who was Matchroom, right? You think about
yeah, I think so.
Beterbiev, who's top ranked. You think about Bivol, who is it might be
He's
Matchroom.
a top rank, I believe, also.
Okay, yeah, Bivol. Yeah, I was trying to remember who Bivol was with, but good stuff. You think about that, and then some other ones. You have Zerto, who we'll see if he's
Oh
still able
yeah,
to make 175, but he's with Golden Boy, who is tied to the
Jordan.
zone. It's just yeah, it's interesting. So we'll see what kind of momentum can be regained for Joshua Buatsi. I imagine this being his debut for a boxer, that doesn't bode well as far as you have people who didn't really have an interest in the fight like that, or at least were leaving out. Uh,
Hmm.
excuse me. But yeah, interesting. Very, very.
I think I would like him to fight maybe because Callum Smith, but I think he would probably get knocked out in that fight. So maybe
Yeah,
it's best for him that he doesn't. But if he wants to, advance with his career, well, maybe
yeah,
he will have to fight him. Yeah,
yeah. I was just thinking that the only way he probably can advance his momentum or regain that momentum is by taking on a Caleb Smith or a top
yeah,
level fighter, even if that
yeah.
means that it's sooner than what it probably should have been.
Or
But
even,
yeah, you
yeah,
know.
or even maybe Anthony Yard, somebody like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, Anthony R. Yeah, we've mentioned that one. I think that would be a good one. Queensberry
Mm,
promotion there with Frank Warren. I don't know
yeah.
what their relationship is with Boxer. I had to look at the Boxer a bit more. But Boxer, as mentioned, of course, is a player in the game. Of course, we'll see what they can do for him, though,
Mm,
because if this was the case against Stepien, then I think another fight against an opponent who doesn't have that name generation or whatever, I don't know if that will bode well for him. Just thinking about
yeah.
the prospects of how the fight would actually look and what the expectations would be. And
Mm,
if this article, and I don't know how definitive the empty seats were, but it alludes to there being a lot of empty seats, that there's not a lot of interest there. So
right.
interesting, very much interesting. Uh,
Yeah.
Rodolfo says injuries suck, man. Ended Abner Mares' career, and he still has some good fights left. Indeed, Mares came back last year, fought a fight. Don't know why, but he did fight a fight. Uh, and yeah, his eye got jacked up for sure. Rodolfo says,
Mm,
"Yeah, I just stick to the lineal title nowadays. Mayweather got to save the sport with his new belt." Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Mayweather talking about creating his own belt. I don't know how serious he was about it, but very much interesting. Very much. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. I heard it was uneventful. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was pretty much, but
Yeah, uneventful. So, that making me wonder, is
not
it even worth me going back to watch that fight replay?
not not as uneventful as Okoli versus Light, but still rather rather uneventful.
Is it fight replay worthy or a highlight watch?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can get, yeah, it's all right, but it's not like it's totally crap. But yeah, there just wasn't enough. There were no really major punches being landed or anything. You know,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, one of those, huh? So yeah, we'll
nobody
see. I
was
may watch it
hurt.
one day.
Yeah, nobody got hurt. Nobody was down or something like.
All right, Joshua Buatsi, Rodolfo Rivera Jr. Are you sure you didn't accidentally click on any malware buys?
No, no. I think it's probably, I don't know what it is. Really. I don't want speculate.
That is funny. If you got any IT issues, I got you, guys. That's what I work at. So Rodolfo's got you. IT problem, hit up Rodolfo Rivera Jr.
Thanks.
Got a business kicking off right now. Let's do it. Uh, Zorro de la Vega says, seems like they're lining Buatsi up with Dan
But yeah.
Aziz. Aziz. I
Hmm.
remember seeing Aziz. Let me look him up.
Yeah,
Cause
Dan Aziz is still earlier in his career, but he looks good. I mean, he looks promising so far. So
okay.
maybe that would make some
Okay, yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Beat Rocky Fielding.
Oh, yeah.
At least
Yeah,
that's
it
the
is like.
bigger name, I guess. Hey,
Hmm.
so big name. Okay.
Yeah, there's some good younger fighters coming up from you in UK right now, and both at in various divisions, but mostly 175 and 200 and heavyweight. I think maybe, yeah. And also you got that guy from his name is Adam Azim at 140. Yeah, that's right. He's very good
Hmm.
so far.
Okay,
Like,
cool, cool.
yeah,
Rodolfo says,
tall
I'll
guy.
watch the highlights 86. Gotcha, without a doubt. Watch the highlight.
Yeah.
Though I pulled up Boxer here, and they do actually have some decent fighters. Richard Reactor is actually with Boxer.
Oh
Then,
yeah.
yep, Aziz. Yeah, what you just mentioned
He's
there.
very. Yeah, he looks very good. I mean, he's good, definitely.
Yeah, Aziz is with them. So that, as Vega mentioned,
Mm.
could potentially line it up. See, they got
There's
Miguel
also another light heavy that I heard of, but I don't know who he is with now. But he is his name is Malik Zinat. Have you heard of him?
Malik Zinat. Zinat.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know.
was managed by Donny Lalonde before, but not anymore.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh, Lagunde.
yeah,
Uh, what's his name again?
Malik Zinad.
Malik
So he's
Zena.
supposed to. I think he's supposed to get a rather important fight soon. He's still unbeaten. He's got like 16-0, maybe something. Rather hard puncher.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen him. Zena.
Yeah, he's from Libya originally, but
Hmm.
he lived on Malta. But now I think I don't know where
Okay.
he lives now.
Oh yeah, I see. Malta. Yeah, from Libya,
Yes.
like you said. Okay, yeah, I don't think I've seen him. Uh yeah, no major names on his resume, of course, but I guess that can be expected until you get to those big names. He just
Yeah.
picked up the win in Germany. Looks like that's what he's had a decent number of fights in Germany, but it looks like he's fought in
Mm.
multiple countries actually. Um,
Yeah.
all right, so yeah, he's someone I had to look him up to see 21 and 0, 16 KOs. So he's 6-1. Maybe he's making some noise. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be on the lookout for him. Um,
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, boxer. They do have some pretty solid names overall. When
Is
I'm
that
looking at who's on the roster.
who is that? Who is the owner of Boxer?
That is that's a good question. Let me see here. Founded by
Is-
the youngest promoter in the UK, Ben Shalom.
Oh, that's what I thought. I was gonna say Ben
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom. Yeah, that's right. He is Okoli is also with him with
Yeah,
them.
yeah. McCauley's there. I see Savannah
Yeah.
Marshall. Salute Savannah Marshall.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a rather new promotional company,
yeah,
I believe.
yeah. They've gained steam. So Liam Smith is with them as well. Then
Oh
the Ben
yeah, right.
Whitaker guy, who's seemingly a touted prospect. He's light heavyweight.
Mm.
Chris Congo. Okay, and Tweet. I remember seeing him. But yeah,
Hmm.
different. Natasha Jonas is with him, so they have some names. Oh yeah, Marissa Shields as well. So I wonder if they had a connection to Salida Promotions.
Oh yeah, there was also the fight on that same car with Katie Price. Yeah, that's one. But I didn't really
Hmm.
watch it that much, you know. But I think she won that fight.
So it must be a
You
joint thing because I know that
know.
Marissa was with Salita, and it looks like
Yeah.
there's a joint thing probably that they
Me
have
too.
going on. So interesting. Boxer, you got to
Yeah.
look into them a bit more. Rodolfo Rivera Jr., did y'all catch the Ben Whitaker fight? Dude was pulling a Jack Wilson and talking to someone in the crowd while fighting. No, I didn't catch that one. I'm guessing that was on that Buatsi card. I
No,
haven't seen the Buatsi card. I'm gonna try to catch that though. I didn't
there
catch
was a
that.
fight. I don't remember those names that I first watched a little bit.
Yeah, he probably would have been one of the early ones. I think he only has like a few fights.
Danny, some guy called Danny. That's all I remember. I think that was his last name, actually, Danny. Yeah. But
Okay.
anyway, I think, yeah, it was probably either light heavyweight or middleweight or something, super middleweight.
Zoro De La Vega mentions Ben Shalom. Yet boxer guy for
Yes.
boxer. Hey, they're a player. Like I said, they are a player. They do have some pretty solid names. So maybe
I
Buatsi
mean,
makes himself
Eddie
happen.
Hearn is now so big, he's focusing outside of UK, so now that leaves space for others
Hey,
to
I
build
saw the big
themselves.
signing was he just got Regis Prograde to
Oh,
sign with
yeah,
Matchroom,
a
and Regis
major,
has a fight on September or June 17th coming up.
major catch.
Major catch is going to be in New Orleans. Now
We
I
just
wish I could go to that event. It'd be cool to check it out. I actually saw Regis in New Orleans some years
nice.
back. It was the
Oh,
first major fight in New Orleans at that particular time. So this will be the second one because I don't know of anything notable happening there boxing wise since. But I think that's a great move because you take advantage of
yeah.
these markets where this is their like hometown. This is where they're from. So why not
Hmm.
fight there more and have
Yeah,
events there? Some are good about it, and some aren't. But you want to get them that exposure elsewhere as well. But certainly, I like the fact that Prograde
yeah.
his first fight with Matchroom is going to be in New Orleans.
I mean, countries like Thailand and Ghana, I think those who are champions, they often fight in their play hometowns. It doesn't matter if they are big or small or
Hmm.
medium. So that's a good thing, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. And Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, "I'm hyped for next week. My first ever boxing event. I'm gonna go to.
Oh,
Gotta watch
nice.
Janabek versus Butler or KO Butler in Stockton. So
That's right. Johnny
that's
Beck
next
is
week. Let me
right.
pull that up. That schedule.
Nice, nice. Johnny Beck,
Pull up that
yeah.
schedule. That's what's up right there.
Butler. I don't know who is that.
He's a Canadian fighter. I
Right,
forget
of
his
course.
first name. This is going on in Stockton, California. So Rodolfo, salute to you. Gonna be out there for your
Speaking,
first
oh
fight.
yeah, Steve, is that Steven Butler? Yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I believe so.
that
So it's
good
gonna be on
looking
ESPN and
guy.
Sky Sports.
I think also that guy, that Butler, first lost against. He fought, I think, last weekend. His name is Brandon Cook. That's right, Brandon Cook. You know him.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think he fought like either last or weekend before that. Anyway,
Oh
but
yeah.
he has been kind of on the slide, since for a long time now.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I believe that to be the case.
Mm.
Rodolfo mentioned, yeah, I should go check it out. Yeah, that would be cool. New Orleans has great food. It would be cool to go out there and check
Yeah,
out that bout.
Cajun,
Yeah,
Cajun, right, right. I know, I heard that it's very spicy. They make a lot of
yeah, yeah.
spicy food.
Yeah.
Nice.
Rodolfo says your lucky fights usually happen in DC. Fights never happen in Northern California for some reason. Yeah, true. Yeah, some of the bigger fights haven't been here since pre-pandemic, of course, but we did have the Gervonta Davis versus Hector Garcia event. That's probably the biggest one since the pandemic. So we do have some local fights. I'll go to some of those for some of the boxers I know and all of that stuff just to show some love. That being said, yeah, there are some big fights, but still would like to see more. They built an MGM Grand out here a number of years back. I want to say it's probably around 5 years now or somewhere in that ballpark. And they have a theater there where they've had a number of good fights. I've been able to check out a number of them, like Lomachenko versus Sosa. I think Jason Sosa.
Oh, so
Uh,
yeah.
Devin Haney versus what is his name? Moran. Last name Moran, I think.
Antonio, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Antonio Moran. Yeah,
Yeah.
Moran. So yeah, I was able to catch that one there. A host of them. Bivol, he fought someone there. I remember here at that theater at the MGM, etc. Gary Russell Jr. when he fought.
Maybe
Um,
Barrera, Sullivan Barrera, or
oh yeah, Sullivan. Yes, I don't know if he was he here with Sullivan. But yeah, Russell
yeah,
Jr.
that's
He fought
also.
someone there. I can't think his name. But yeah, there have been a number of them. So I want to see more of that activity. But we do still have a bunch of local ones. But if that's your first show, Rodelfo, that's good stuff. Nothing like
Yeah.
that fight atmosphere, especially at some of the smaller shows. So and this would be smaller in the sense that it's not one of those huge names. Like if you were going to Vegas to see a Floyd Mayweather fight or someone of that nature, a Canelo fight, even in Vegas and all that stuff. It's a good atmosphere. I haven't been there actually myself, but it's a different atmosphere than some of the smaller cards that you're involved with or that you go see in person.
Mm.
And usually, when you have these smaller cards, for instance, like this Genovic versus whomever he's facing, Butler, then in all likelihood, the ticket pricing will be reasonable for the average fan. So you can get close. You can be right up on there. You can get ringside stuff for a reasonable price as well. And I think that's the beauty of some of the local shows. You can be in places that you wouldn't be able to be at in that same price range if you were going to a huge event or whatnot. So I do
Mm.
like the fact that they do mix it up somewhat. So that should be a good one right there, Rodolfo. You get to see some of these guys. They're making waves. Janabek, of course, we know he's a player there at 150, 150 or 160. So
Well, 60.
yeah, so that'll be good to see how he does for sure. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. I was shocked when they announced the fight in Stockton. Better be have actually fought in Stockton a few years ago. Cool, cool, good stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what's up.
they have.
Stockton getting some love. One of the Diaz brothers will be there. Nate and Nick Diaz. Uh, Hopefully, I don't get robbed in Stockton. Let's hope not, Rodolfo. Certainly, let's not have that happen. Don't go out too flashy. Me and my dad are going. He said I ain't going to no Stockton, so I had to convince him.
You know
Okay,
who also fought in Stockton a lot for a while.
who's that?
In a part of his career was Yaqui Lopez.
Oh, Yaki Lopez.
Lopez, yeah, Yaqui Lopez.
Salute, Yaki Lopez. I know he's a friend of Joe Casano's. I think Yaki Lopez passed away.
Oh,
Might have
really?
been 2 years ago or something, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, he
Um,
was one great. I mean, one hell of a fighter, really.
oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt.
Hardy.
I need to look at more stuff on him. I've seen
Mhm.
some stuff, read some stuff, but definitely more. But yeah, from all indications, yeah, he's a hell of a fighter for sure.
Yeah,
Paul
he
Bright,
got
salute
robbed.
Paul Bright.
He got robbed twice, hell, by against Galindez. Actually, that's what I heard.
Oh,
Yeah,
Galindez. Interesting. Interesting. Shout out to Paul Bright who just dropped in. Says, "What's up, gents? Appreciate you dropping in, Paul." Yeah, we're here
yeah.
talking boxing. Some of the stuff that is going on. We've dabbled into a little bit of history, not too far down the line, but we've dabbled into it a little bit. But yeah, we're talking boxing and what's upcoming. There's a Stockton card that Rodolfo Rivera Jr. is going to. Rodolfo says Loma versus Sosa when Loma was in his prime.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Loma was giving it to Sosa. That event
He
was
was
cool.
trashing everybody,
Yeah, that event
trashing.
was cool because on the undercard, the co-mains was Gvozdyk against someone, I believe, and then you had Alexander Usyk against someone. Was it Mike? I don't know. I don't think it was Michael Hunter, or was it? Let me see. But Alexander Usyk fought on there as well at
Hmm.
this event. So you had a lot of the Ukrainian contingent that was in attendance, which was
Yeah, I know that.
plus.
I believe Wozniak, he lives in Oxnard, I believe in California, and there are also some others
Yep,
there,
yep.
maybe
So
even Loma. I don't know where he lives.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it was Michael Hunter. So that Michael Hunter Usyk fight, which was a pretty decent fight, got to see Usyk's skill set on
Oh
display. Hunter
yeah,
tried, he was game, but he couldn't pull it off.
Michael
So yeah, that
Hunter.
was
Yeah.
on there. Sup, Paul says Rodolfo. And then yeah, it's smaller. Rodolfo says I would go to Vegas fight, but it's expensive. Yes, indeed. So it has to be a
Oh.
good fight. Me and my friends agreed that we would go to a Spence versus Crawford fight. Yeah, that would be a hell of a fight. And I know the tickets would, yeah, like this close stuff would sell at some ridiculous prices. So you
Hmm.
already know when those fights happen and they pick Las Vegas, then it's gonna be mainly celebrities and big wigs who are gonna be in those close seats. You know what I'm saying? Because the price is gonna be ridiculous. I think for that Tank Garcia fight, Tank versus Ryan Garcia. I remember seeing something about some of the ringside seats going for 15,000. Some might even go more than that. It's like crazy. You know, the average
Yeah,
person can't afford to.
it is, of
That.
course.
I remember.
Greed.
I remember. I wanted to see Mayweather versus Pacquiao, and but yeah, it was just going to be insane ticket prices. Then you got to think about the travel, the hotels. The hotel prices are going to go up, and then to get a reasonable ticket, you're going to be probably in the nosebleeds. I think a fight like that should have happened in Cowboy Stadium or something that could hold a lot of people. But of course,
You better not wear your favorite jersey or hoodie there in the
yeah, right,
nosebleed department.
yeah. But it's interesting. But yeah, Mayweather Pacquiao, Cowboy Stadium. I think they could have got 100,000 people in there. But of course, they opted for the insider money that Vegas provides. So and now
Mhm.
Saudi Arabia seems to be a player, so they're going to get some of the big fights because they are talking about a Saudi Arabian card, and I don't know the validity of it, but they're talking about trying to make Fury versus Usyk, as well as Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. And then I saw something, and it could have just been some fan throwing it out there randomly. I don't know about trying to get Crawford versus Spence on that card as well. The likelihood of that happening, that's a big question. But they do have the money to make it happen in Saudi Arabia. I would think.
Yeah, also Fury said, John Fury declared that this is their home now in Dubai or whatever it
Oh,
called. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it
Well,
was
yeah. Well,
Dubai.
he's still on some. They're on some lists that they can't travel to, some places they can't go to, right? So
Yeah,
some of it's by choice
USA.
or by proxy. They have no
Yeah,
choice that's the case. Paul Bright says, "I remember Yaki Lopez. He was a rugged light heavyweight. Salute, Paul.
he
Salute.
was
That's
tall
what's up.
also. Yeah.
Hey, you have so many great fighters over the history. Some of them
Hmm.
aren't as big names, but hey, they were putting in that work. You know."
Yeah.
Uh, Rodolfo said, I saw that there used to be a lot of fights in San Jose, but it stopped out of nowhere. Now only Bellator shows up. And then San Jose Sharks and Earthquakes. Shout out to them Earthquakes, MLS, baby. Sharks, me and hockey and all that stuff. Yeah, interesting. That is a city. Hey, they have a couple of teams like you just listed there. So you would think there would be a good spot for some, but interesting. Very much interesting. Zorro de la Vega says Glade Flores getting back to grace will lead to more North Cal fights. Okay, yeah, Gabe Flores, man, it's been a rough couple of fights for Gabe. He, I think I don't know if it was more so them rushing him as opposed to he just was not yet ready for those steps up in competition, and he suffered the price for such, and he was generating buzz, of course, and he was able to have some pretty solid fanfare. He has a great story, but it just seems that, man, it was just a rough past few fights for him, and he's got to biting down. He's got to bite down. He's got to just get to the gym, stick to trying to be better, stick to trying to improve himself, to try and get himself back to a level where people will view him as one of these guys who could really upset the apple cart or be someone who can compete at one of those I would say at the elite level. The verdict, of course, is still out. I think he can do some good stuff in some local shows, but he was on a lot of top ranked cards, and they were really pretty much backing him and pushing him. And he started out young. I think it was 17 when he signed with them or whatever. So we'll see if Gabe can get back to that fighter that we can see some form of promise in him. Yeah, there wasn't anything glaring that I saw that was stand out about him, but he's got heart. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to him. He's got heart. So hopefully he can make that shift to get himself back to where he's comfortable. I would say, I guess that's probably the best way of putting it. Gabe Flores Jr. But yeah, he just needs to be. So he's going to be fighting on this card. Yeah. So Rodolfo or Vega, I'd imagine that's why you mentioned it. Yet he's going to just so happen to be on this card as well. So Gabe Flores is going to be in return. It looks like he's taking on the guy 17-8. This is probably to try to get him back in form, get him some confidence going. He needs to, yeah, just kind of slow roll it a bit and just focus on becoming a better fighter before taking on any more of these tougher fights, tougher names, because he's seemingly hasn't been ready for that yet, and he doesn't have a lot of power, so that doesn't help either. So you really have to focus on the fundamentals in those situations. Um, but yeah, we'll see. Rodolfo, sheesh, yeah, those seats were like 40K up close. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah,
Wow.
probably beyond that during that Mayweather Pacquiao fight. Realistically, LOL buys. Rodolfo Rivera, yeah, he's actually going to be on the undercard. He's a Stockholm native. Oh yeah, I mentioned that to Zorro de la Vega. The only fighter I know out of San Jose was a Mexican dude called El Tiburon, which means shark in Spanish. We love our sharks in San Jose. All right, yeah, I see
Yeah.
what he did there. I see what he did. Good stuff right there. Shout out to him. But yeah, so yeah, real quick, we do have, as mentioned, Janovic versus Butler coming up this weekend, Saturday, May 13th. On the undercard, one of the Maloney brothers, maybe both of them are going to be fighting, I'm not sure, but one of the Maloney brothers is going to be taking on a Filipino fighter in a bantamweight fight. So Jason and I forget the other guy, Jason and Josh something Maloney, but two fighting brothers representing Australia, so they're going to be on that.
Oh, Maloney. The
Yeah,
Maloney's, yeah.
Maloney,
Andrew. Jason and Andrew.
Andrew Maloney. Yep. So you're
Yeah.
right. Good call.
Nice, yeah.
So there's actually going to be a card on Friday. It's a British card, someone by the name of Zorro. So it's like a local card. Moderna is going to be on there taking on Hutchinson. Moderna is a guy who upset someone recently. I know he, I think he's been in there with Andre Ward as well, the Argentine
Mm.
fighter. Then Kim Clavel is taking on someone at Junior Fly, which is going to be on Fight, that app or website, FITE, like Fight TV or whatever it may be.
Right.
Looks like Rolly Romero is going to be making his return in a Showtime card.
Oh, yeah.
Barroso looks like a Colombian or Venezuelan fighter, one of the two, or maybe that's Ecuador actually. No, that's Venezuela, I believe. So he's going to be taking on a fighter. This is going to be in Las Vegas at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. Or so Rolly Romero, a 140-pound name. So we'll see if he's able to get in the mix. You know, he fought Tank, lost to Tank, but he's still a guy who at least has some power and can make some things happen, seemingly. We're going to
Mm.
also have Rancis Barthélemy. Looks like he's going to be fighting on there as well.
Wow. Still
He's going to
fighting.
take
Huh.
somebody by the name of Juarez.
Francis.
14-1. Omar Juarez. Have I seen Juarez? So Rancis Barthélemy trying to get back in the mix. You also have
It's a little too late, I think, for him.
Akhmadov is going to be fighting. So Batir Akhmadov taking on Kenneth Sims Jr. Yeah. Oh, Akhmadov. Yeah, I've seen him. Let me see who he lost to. Batir. You know Batir Akhmadov, right? Batir.
I don't know, really. Not
So
sure.
he lost to Alberto Coelho and Mario Barros. I think in that Barros fight, yeah, he had to go through some adversity. But I remember seeing him Akhmadov, so he's going to be fighting on the undercard as well. Then, then of course, big weekend. You have KSI making his return. I know you're looking
No.
forward to that one. Taking on
Oh,
someone by the
no.
name of Fournier.
There was a guy called Batirjan. You can buy. Maybe you didn't mean him, did you? No, that was someone else.
Cool.
Ahmedov, yeah, Ahmedov, yeah.
But yeah, that's what's coming up. Then, of course, after this weekend, of course, you have a big one, a huge one, I guess you can say, is going to be Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko. So certainly looking forward to that one. That's going to definitely.
Sounded like you said silly Lomachenko.
Oh yeah, Vasily Lomachenko,
Silly.
the Matrix. He's going to
Yeah.
be taking on Devin Haney. The undisputed titles are on the line. We'll see if Devin Haney is going to continue his momentum in winning ways, or if Loma, who looked pretty solid in training, punching the bag, is going to upset the apple cart. Because I think a lot of people are favoring Devin Haney, of course,
Yeah,
given
they are.
Houston activity as of late. So, that should be an interesting one for sure. Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more.
Oh, you came too late.
Salute, Josh and Boz. What up, guys? Appreciate you dropping in. Bruce, everyone, go check out Bruce. Go follow Bruce Gas. He holds it down. Entertaining. That is a channel you want to follow. A lot of good stories, a lot of good interviews. Yeah, I gotta be in the mix over there myself, Bruce. But yeah, I've seen some of the latest stuff, and especially the Sony Liston stuff. Very interesting conversations and things surrounding the death of Sony Liston and all of that. But salute to Bruce Gas. Be sure to check him out. Without a doubt, we were wrapping things up here, Bruce. We've gone 134, so. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says Fournier actually got some pro fights. Okay, that's what's up.
Fournier.
Says salute Rodolfo. Bots it on the side, but he's a businessman. Okay, hey, I'm here for it. As long as they do their thing, it's gonna be on pay-per-view. For those who are
Yeah.
interested, KSI, hey, they've made some kind of little. They've got a methodology behind what they're doing. So salute to them. I think it's called X Fight Series or whatever, something of that nature. I haven't seen any of them, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's what's going on in the world of boxing. Of course, we'll be talking history and all of that stuff as time goes on. We'll be able to dialogue, etc. It'll be a good.
Yeah, Kosobutsky. I was just thinking of him the other day. I remembered about, yeah, he's, I think,
Okay,
from Kazakhstan also. Yeah, I think.
Kosabutsky. Yeah. Salute Paul. Paul Bright says Jared Anderson and John Kosabutsky in a fight I'm looking forward to. Oh yeah. That you're right. That was announced. I don't know that I know Kosabutsky, but it seems like he'll put up some form of a fight for Jared Anderson, who's been on a pretty solid trajectory so far.
Yeah.
I think they've been moving him fairly well. He's been able to answer all the tests. And someone mentioned this. I can't remember who. It might have been you, Rodolfo. I think it was Rodolfo that on the undercard, the Russian heavyweight. I think he fights out of Montreal. I can't think of his name right now. Uh, but he's a Russian heavyweight. I know you know who I'm talking about. But he's tall, fights out of Montreal. He beat Carlos Takam. Uh,
Oh yeah, Makhmudov.
oh yeah,
Makhmudov.
yeah.
Yeah,
So he's gonna be on the undercard. Or yeah, Makudov. So yeah. Salute, appreciate
yeah.
that.
Arslanbek Makhmudov. Yeah, Makhmudov.
Yeah. So Makhmudov is going to be on the same card as Jared Anderson. And I guess the question, like Rodolfo had posed, was whether or not, hey, that means that we could potentially see that fight here at some point, which would be a big deal. That would be a big fight. And
Yeah,
that would certainly line up the trajectory for both fighters. I think it's a win-win either way, especially if it's a good fight, because one fight doesn't necessarily one fight, one loss doesn't necessarily rule you out. What you're able to do. That's what it's all about. The best fighting the best. So
yeah.
someone has to lose unless it's a draw.
I see this guy. Kosobuski has a lot of high knockout percentage, so that's a pretty,
Okay.
they just fight for Anderson, I guess. It will prove whether he really is, capable of doing something.
Big baby. Yeah, Kosabuski. So he's 19-0. Oh, he's out of Kazakhstan. So he's going to be
Yeah.
pretty polished. 19-0, 18 knockouts.
Mm.
So this is going to be I guess probably the best fight for both. Matter of fact, a step up for both in some sense, you can say. So
Yeah.
I see that Kosabuski, he has a win over Duhaupas. He
Yeah.
has a win
Yeah.
over Joy Dojeko.
All right.
Oko or
Yes.
whatever his name is. I know he fights in Philadelphia a lot. Um, so those are two names that he had that I'm familiar with. So it should be interesting. But yeah, we'll see if that power is legit. And we'll
Mm.
see how Jared Anderson handles it, because I don't think Jared Anderson's really been hit by anything that really startled or rattled him. So it'll be
Mm.
interesting to see if this guy has the power to be able to do something like that. I know that Anderson is skilled. This guy seemingly, just given what I know about a lot of the Kazakh fighters that come out of there, I'd imagine he's going to be skilled as well. So that's
Yeah.
gonna be an interesting one for Jared Anderson. So I'm here for it. I think it's going down in Ohio too, so it's going to be like a
All right.
home fight for him. So I'd imagine the atmosphere is going to be pretty live.
All
Uh,
right.
see Duke
Yeah.
Reagan, shout out Duke Reagan. He might be on there as well since he's from
Mm.
Ohio. So
Mm.
this will be good. Melissa Ty, hello Melissa Ty, salute to you. Appreciate you dropping in. That's good stuff. We definitely appreciate you. We're getting ready to wrap some things up. Rodolfo Rivera says, "Sup, Melissa." Salute to you.
Friendly Rodolfo.
Yeah, Melissa. We have some kind of connection, Melissa. That's funny. But yeah, Zoro de
Yeah.
la Liga, Eye of the Tiger management says this is a four-man tournament, which the winners meet in their next fight. Oh, okay. So this is going to lead to potentially Anderson versus Makhmudov. That's going to be huge. That's going to be a big one. That'll be a
Eye of
big
the
one.
tiger.
I
Eye
wonder where
of
it go down. Eye of the Tiger promotion. Yeah, they've had some. Makhmud. I guess that's who Makhmudov is tied to. because they promoted the Takum fight, or at least they were behind it in some fashion. I remember going by their site, uh, and yeah, they seem like they're legit. They do some good stuff. So I had the Tiger. They have experience. If I remember, I can't remember who the names of the individuals are, but they certainly have the type of experience that they can really
Mm.
push this thing. But 4-man tournament, okay, that's what I like to hear right there. So we might get Jared Anderson versus Makhmedov, but of course they have to beat the opponents that are in front of them. So not so fast, my friend, as old Lee Corso used to say. Paul Bright
Yeah,
says we got a female in the house.
that's big. Yeah, I don't know. Aside from your mom, she. I don't think
Yeah,
we
yeah,
ever
okay,
had
that is right. Yeah, my
a
mom.
female here.
Well, appreciate
Yeah,
you dropping out, Melissa. Says hi, Rodolfo. It's an LOL. Then, oh, really, Zorro? Yeah.
yeah,
That's in relation to that tournament being a tournament. Yeah, that's a good thing. We can see some a star, the potential next heavyweight star will come out of there. So I think whoever wins that, they're lining themselves up to be a major player there in the heavyweight division.
yeah,
And both
yeah,
fought so far, both look pretty good. So I like that. I like that.
yeah.
But yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, that's pretty much the majority of what we have here today.
Yeah.
Of course, we've gone an hour 40, but of
Mm.
course, as always, we appreciate everyone who dropped by, showing some love. This is going to be available on replay as well. So those who are watching us via replay or listening on Zencaster, whatever it may be, definitely check us out. Yeah, check out the podcast on Zencaster. Go to zencaster.com or something of that nature. You should be able to find it. There'll be some information in the profile and all that stuff. I need to put it on there. But check out Zencaster. They're doing big things over there at Zencaster platform that we like to rock with. So we do appreciate everyone dropping in. And with that, certainly we're going to be back next week to jump in the mix with everything. So shout out to everyone who dropped through. Rodolfo, Mr. Padge, Bruce Gas, Paul Bright, Zorro de la Vega. Let's go. Vega Boxing, Blake Gallimore. Appreciate you dropping by. My mom certainly dropping by. Melissa, yeah, dropping by. Appreciate you, Melissa. Yeah, Paul Bright, all that good stuff. So yeah, we appreciate it all. So we'll be back. We'll be back in the mix here soon. Catch y'all next time. Good show. Uh, uh, Zorro de la Vega, real quick, said, "Did you see that Andy Cruz signed with Matchroom?" No, I didn't see that. I did see the Regis. I did see the Regis one. So, hey, Matchroom's making some moves. And real quick, I did one of the other things I was going to mention. I saw something about a potential Tyson Fury versus Andy Ruiz fight, which is interesting, which is very interesting. So we'll see
Mm.
if that actually materializes into something of note. But we'll see. That's what I can say. We will.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, I had to check out Indy Cruz. I don't remember the name there, Vega, but I'm gonna check it out without a doubt. But with that, yeah, thanks everyone for joining in. We'll be back, but of course the channel will still be here. So come make some
Yeah.
comments. I'll definitely reply. We can talk it out. Yes, sir. Tyson stops him. Yeah,
Hmm.
right, Rodolfo. Tyson might stop Eddie Ruiz, depends on which version shows up. But either way, yeah, I'd be leaning Tyson Fury.
All
All right. Peace, y'all.